right before the pandemic hit, I was like, I'm gonna just do an art project just for me. So I was like, I'm gonna make my own decks. That sounds like fun. And I realized that I wanted to like do something with the art. So I was like, oh, I'll throw something together. Yeah, and then I just kind of jumped into it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Skilling Podcast, where we chat and get to know passionate content creators, competitive players, and all voices in between who make the Pokemon community incredible. Today's guest is a master artist, using his talent to imagine new regions of Pokemon. From a prehistoric region to now reimagining the beloved Gravity Falls series into a Pokemon, it's our friend Gabe, or Froopy Art. How's it going, my man?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me on. I'm very excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got to tell you. So we've been kind of getting to know people, looking around for more people to have on the show. And my brother actually sent me a link to your channel. And I was just looking it over, and I love Gravity Falls. So seeing this like shout out to it, I was just like, this is such a fun idea. It's so interesting to kind of see what the things that you're kind of looking at getting into with the franchise and how you're kind of adapting it into the Pokemon world. But before we kind of get into that, we're going to kind of do some get to know you questions, kind of get to know you a little bit better, and then we'll kind of get into Pokemon stuff. So kind of to begin. Yeah, Josh, why don't you take it away?
I was gonna say, yeah, it's cool because on my explore page on Instagram, I don't know when. I mean, just a while back, the algorithm catches on to you. Whenever like fake mons come up or just fun art ideas of like different forms or new regions or whatever, I usually like them or I save them so I can go back to the person's profile and like binge look at them all. So yeah, when Logan was telling me about what you do, and I was like, oh yeah, this is another profile I can go and binge and kind of hit that little fire that off in my brain, that little satisfying thing to look at. And it's awesome because then I started looking at your YouTube stuff, and we'll get into that later. And how what I like that you do is that's a perfect mix of showcasing your talent, which you obviously post on Instagram and you make videos out of, but you like totally dive into it where you're like basically creating a game where it's like, hey, if we get like a game studio on here, you like laid down all the foundation, like all they have to do is make it. You did like all the legwork, and as far as making Pokédex entries, creating a region, the routes, and everything. It's cool. So I mean, we'll get into that, but I just wanted to say like super bingeable content, and that's like one of the highest. It's like one of the highest compliments I can give whenever So it's great. But we were talking before we hit record. It's end of the year, holiday season for a lot of people. Do you have any favorite traditions during this time of year that you kind of look forward to? Anything you guys did this year?
No, I mean, we do Friendsmas together with my friends.
Oh, cool.
So a bunch of us get together. That's kind of what I look forward to most. Yeah, I don't know. I buy Pokemon cards for all my friends, even if they don't like Pokemon. Put them in their stocking.
I love it.
Yeah, that's good time.
That's great. My brother-in-law gave me so we'll do like a sibling gift exchange. And my brother-in-law had me this year, and he got me a couple little just booster bundle boxes of Pokemon cards, and I was like, perfect. You know me. That works for me.
It's amazing.
I approve.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that this kind of time of year has some pretty cool Pokemon products. Like I remember last year, my wife got me an Advent calendar that had just like little Funko Pop figurines of like Gen 1 Pokemon, and it's just like it's kind of fun to see what you can throw out and like what's out there, and then what you can give to people. There's just fun merch that we can get. So I love that. I love that. Kind of getting back into this too. So you clearly have a love for Gravity Falls. What other shows or books or things like that have inspired you throughout your life, or are like that you're like really into right now? We're just kind of curious, what else what you enjoy.
So I mean, not specifically like any book or TV show, but my other like big thing that kind of drives me is like puzzles in general. It's part of the reason why I love escape rooms or Gravity Falls. So my day job is escape rooms. So I'm the artistic director for a company. So I design and build escape rooms. So just coming at things from a slightly more puzzly angle, I enjoy that. And so that's something I'm trying a little bit more with this Gravity Falls region. And yeah, that's good. Puzzly stuff.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. Like I think escape rooms. I remember the most recent one I think I did was it was like a mobster, like it was like an undercover mobster kind of style one where we had to we were like going undercover, or like there was an agent that had gone undercover and we were trying to figure out all the details there. But escape rooms are so fun, and so like I think that's it's such an interesting angle to look at it for like at a Pokemon game. So specifically, especially because like there's kind of this recent trend too of like escape room like mods that are happening,
Mm-hmm.
and like being able to take the mystery of Gravity Falls and kind of enveloping it into that world is so cool. So that's a really fun way to kind of take your skills from your day job and put it into the love of Pokemon.
Yeah,
Super cool. Yeah, so I now with Pokemon, how did you get into Pokemon? You know, any favorite games growing up, watching the anime, collecting cards? What was your entry point?
well, I mean, I'm old enough to have been around for Generation 1.
Nice.
Like back in my day, there was 151, and we liked it that way. So I'm old. That being said, I didn't have a Game Boy. I had like a few cards,
Interesting.
Gen 1, and then I kind of fell off until I think Gen 5. Gen 5 came
Okay.
out, and I was like, I'll get
Okay.
back into this. And I love Gen 5, and I love basically everything more or less from then on out. And I went back and played the games that I missed. And yeah, so Gen 1 and Gen 5 together got me into Pokemon.
Kind of with a combined effort. I love
That's
that. Dude,
so cool.
Gen 5 is such a fun. We've talked about this on some previous episodes, specifically mentioning how unique Gen 5 is and how, you know, for a lot of people it was their entry point, and for a lot of other people it was a big turning point for the series because, you know, it's still 2D sprites, but it was that region that introduced a ton of new Pokemon. And for that
Mhm.
vanilla black and white game, it was that game that it was pure Unovan Pokemon until the Nat Dex. And then of course Black 2 White 2, they reintroduced some of the old ones for the regional decks, but that's cool that you mentioned that because Gen 5, I love Gen 5 as well. And I mean, did you have anything that you really enjoyed when you went back and played, whether it was a Gen 2, 3, or 4 game, or anything from Gen 6 and on that you've especially enjoyed, whether that was Scarlet and Violet, anything like that?
Gosh, like when I played played through Soul Silver for the first time, like that's just one of my favorite gaming experiences. Um, you know, the games have their ups and downs, but like I still love the Alola region. Like Sun and Moon
Nice, yeah.
are fantastic. The introduction of regional variants, like yeah, it's good. I think Scarlet and Violet are good, good enough. They've got some
Passable
rough
for-
edges, you know. Maybe that'll change moving forward, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. One can hope. But
For
I mean,
sure.
I will say pretty consistently, like my main draw to Pokemon is like the Pokemon themselves and their
Yeah,
designs.
yeah.
So I've yet to be disappointed with a region, so I'm a happy camper. Yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah,
That's super
I'm right there with
cool.
you.
That's it's a kind of an interesting, like, unique way to experience the franchise from your perspective, because you start off at Gen 1, where it's like the beginning, and then where Gen 5 is like the reintroduction, like it was like kind of what Josh was saying, like there's no other new Pokemon. So you kind of got like this cool kind of secluded look at each of those regions, and was able to kind of go back and fill in the blanks. But, you know, kind of along with that, kind of mentioning, you know, your love for the designs of Pokemon, we were kind of curious what kind of got you into this, into starting to make these projects of creating your own Pokemon, whether that be your prehistoric like region, it was I'm trying to remember the name,
Amber region.
the
Pokemon Amber.
yes, the Amber region, Pokemon Amber, or the Gravity Falls based series. Like, kind of what kind of started getting you into that kind of, project?
So basically right before the pandemic hit, I was like, I'm gonna just do an art project just for me. So I was like, I'm gonna make my own decks.
Mhm.
That sounds like fun. Who knows? Maybe I could like make my own ROM hack type of thing, which like that's not gonna happen. I don't got the skills or the time to like. Hats off to anyone who makes a custom game because
Yeah.
it's so much work.
It's insane.
They're amazing. So that wasn't going to happen. But during pandemic times, just to like keep me busy, get practice, learn a new art style, like I just made a decks and had sketches, mostly final art for a bunch of it. And then I realized that I wanted to like do something with the art, so I was like, oh, I'll throw something together. I have a lot of friends who like I have a theater background, like collegiately. That's what I went to. So I got a lot of actor friends. So I was like, I can get some voice actors in here. I can, put something together. I was really inspired over the pandemic by some YouTubers like Birdkeeper Toby, people who have done Fakemon regions. I was like, I wonder if I could do that. And so I just I spent a whole lot of time like planning stuff out. The whole region, writing all the scripts, doing all this before I ever released a video. So yeah, and then I just kind of jumped into it, and it went well. I started out with a pretty horrible microphone. That's the one thing I wish I had realized early on, is I had a bad mic to start. But other than that, like I made sure to plan things out before I released stuff. But yeah, it went well.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
And for those who don't know, so specifically talking about his Froopy Pokemon Amber project, it's the Palean region. It's based loosely on Jurassic Park, right? Pulls heavily from like extinct animals, a lot of archaeological concepts, paleontology and stuff like that. It's a really cool idea, and it's cool to see a lot of these Fakemon artists out there. Will just like with recent Pokemon regions, Pokemon companies obviously leaned into it themselves, but drawing inspiration from actual countries or regions or time periods or anything like that. And it's really been cool to see people like super lean into that. And I've seen some really cool stuff out there. So to see something like this, I love it. So I mean, specifically, we'll talk about Pokemon Amber first, because that's one that's gone really viral, especially on your YouTube page. You have every single episode compiled into one 7+ hour video, which we'll ask you about that specific video in a second. But as far as Pokemon Amber went in the Palean region, what did you love most about it? Where did you obviously you drew the inspiration from Jurassic Park, but tell us more about that process.
I mean, I'm a huge, like, I never grew out of dinosaurs. Like, I really love dinosaurs a lot. So probably like Pokemon and dinosaurs are like really like this for me.
They're pretty
cool. Pushing them together just made sense. Early on, like I should say, I always found fossil Pokemon interesting, but like really, really boring that they're all rock type. So like one of the big conceits of this fan region that I did is like, oh, they're all rock type because they're not restored all the way properly. They got mineral impurities, right? So let's restore them. So I got a bunch of regional variants. That's easy, fun to do. And then throwing in lots of paleontological references, stuff that's like more accurate or leaning into some of the really dumb, outdated stuff that we used to think. So that on its own is just, there's a ton of stuff to work with. And I love dinosaurs. What can I say? Dinosaurs are cool.
Dinosaurs are cool. That's awesome.
I had a big obsession with dinosaurs growing up too. Like whenever I go back to my my parents' house, childhood house, all my old books and toys are like half dinosaurs and stuff like that. So I for whatever reason, there's that connection for a lot of people I talk to love Pokemon. They're like, dude, I love dinosaurs growing up, and I'm like, there's a connection. I can see it. So it's awesome.
That's a lot of fun. Jurassic Park and dinosaurs, I mean, they're like iconic, storytelling mechanisms. I mean, within the 90s and things like that, right? And so kind of in this, you've made the Amber project, and you also, we mentioned earlier that 7-hour, compilation video where you went into full detail. Like you went into, the Pokedex, you talk about the everything through your drawings, and obviously being any fan-made game, a lot of people, like kind of gravitate towards legendaries or new forms of previous Pokemon and things like that. And we love, the fight, flight, or freeze concept for the starters. Kind of tell us more about, maybe some of the things that, kind of inspired some of those things going into that large video, making that kind of, big, kind of thesis, like a video where you're kind of giving us the whole project. Kind of go into creating that and how fun it was, maybe to kind of like really put in all this work together into one.
Yeah. So that big compilation video, that's just,
all the different episodes, right?
Not that I'm lazy, but like that's just me taking all the previous episodes that I had released over like a year and a half or whatever, and just smooshing them together because whatever, it's good for the algorithm and people can watch. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But as far as like developing the region and the different themes and stuff, it's just like a blast to work on. I'll say the one thing is like I I love Pokemon Amber and this new region that I'm working on right now because they're not just like a country. It's pretty easy, just like, oh, I'm gonna do a Pokemon region, and it's like it's another Australia concept, or it's
Right.
whatever.
I've
So
seen a
having
lot of those.
something, yeah, something that's maybe a little bit more conceptual, leads to a little bit more freedom in what you can do. You're not,
Hmm.
locked into the animals that are in that country. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun to figure out the different themes you can work with. My starters had a theme. It's nice. Later generations of Pokemon, the starters obviously have a theme that
Right.
kind of links them together. The flight or fight, flight or freeze, like it works for those. My next starters are going to have a better cohesive thing. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to go into just blurbing on about all the different things. But yeah, getting legendaries that had to do with extinction and adaptation and, stuff that ties to the prehistoric concepts. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Well, it's
That's
cool
awesome.
because it really allows you to kind of flex those creative muscles. Because, like you said, I've seen other regions where they are based off of an actual place or culture, and with that, it's cool to see
Mhm.
different countries in real life or wherever regions cultures get highlighted. But like you said, to a degree, you do kind of get shoehorned into highlighting specific things. If you don't highlight a specific thing, it doesn't feel totally on brand with the rest of the region. And I've seen some people say like, oh, well, now you're just creating a really generic Pokemon line or whatever. It's like, what's the point of doing a themed region if you're just going to make generic Pokemon designs? So then, you are kind of forced to do that. But with this, like you said, you have a lot more free reign to kind of play loosely with the idea, and you can do stuff that's kind of adjacent to it. And I thought that was really apparent to me as I was watching that it made for a really fun, cohesive region, but something that was really dynamic. It felt real, like breathing, alive. Like I said, dynamic.
Mhm.
So that was cool. Really awesome to see that.
Well,
And oh yeah, you go, Logan. Yeah.
and yeah, I was also just going to say, shout out, you also brought in new gym mechanics. You also, brought
Yeah.
out the idea of primal forms, which, we see, Primal Kyogre and Groudon, but you also kind of bring in that aspect of, well, what does that look like with other, Pokemon? Maybe that's the fossil Pokemon, right? And like that we have today. And so it's just kind of fun to see like how you're taking this concept and really kind of not just giving us the basic art or like the basic ideas, but you're really bringing in like full on what this could be. And so just like just kind of giving a shout out there as well to the well thought outedness of this project and just kind of the fun that it really is to kind of see some of these things like and it was just a lot of fun to look through and to see the whole product together. So
Totally.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, like doing all that stuff, new mechanics, routes, and who's got what. Like for me, that's just fun. Like I like planning that stuff out, and
Yeah.
it's a good time to look at. I don't know. I like spreadsheets. I like planning out stuff with big Google Docs and all that nonsense. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So it's there's a method to the madness. So
Mm-hmm.
well, one thing I wanted to ask you too and bring up for those listening is that the visual part of a Pokemon, what we see on screen, the sprite or the 3D model, that's only part of the design process, because part of what makes a good Pokemon design, in my opinion, is also like, how does it play, right? Does it have, is it easy to use? How are its stats distributed? What do its abilities look like? What does its learn set look like? Does it have any cool lore as far as the Pokédex entries and stuff like that? And you also went into all of that. You're basically giving us like a full Bulbapedia page with these Pokemon. Like, again, shiny forms, like the size comparison to like, a trainer.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, abilities, stats, classification, dex entries. Tell us more about that. And then what's the most fun thing about building that out? And what's the most challenging thing about basically, again, like I said, it's the full Pokemon design. It's not just like creating what one looks like. It's the full shebang, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. So designing the Pokemon, that's fun. Making a shiny, that's pretty easy.
Right.
Naming them, not hard. The thing
It's just a
that
bunch of puns, pretty much.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that I especially struggled with early on, I'm getting a little better at it, but like I do not come from a competitive scene at all. Like I have
Right.
Okay.
such a small amount of experience, like I don't know, caring about my Pokemon stats or abilities. So early on, like I was just pulling numbers out of my butt. Like the Pokemon are just horrible or like broken. It's really bad. I'm more conscious of that now, especially with the new region, of making sure things make sense. Like I think early on, it's like, oh, here's a saber-tooth tiger. Oh, it looks really cool. It's gonna get strong jaw or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it has just like a terrible attack stat. You know, like I just wasn't thinking about this stuff. You
I
know,
love it.
so I'm trying to get better. And I gotta thank, like, as much as I honestly did not care much for the DLC for Scarlet and Violet, that
Mhm.
second DLC where it like forced you to do a bunch of double battles and actually play competitively, to like, that was great. That made me like really
was cool.
appreciate, yeah, because I got my butt kicked that first time, and first Elite Four, I remember I was like, okay, I gotta actually think
You're like, whoa,
about
they
what
actually
I'm
made it
doing
hard.
when I play.
Yeah.
So yeah, after that, I have started to, I don't know, get better about how stats
Right.
work. Stats are complicated. You know this, but yeah.
hmm
Yeah, it's that playing with stats and kind of balancing them out in a way to where it makes sense. And the power creep is always a struggle in Pokemon to begin with. So
Yep.
trying to figure that out, and not, like you said, I mean, not coming from that background to begin with is a whole nother, conundrum, trying to make sure that you're kind of wrapping it all up. But as you're kind of looking forward, like you're mentioning, into this new project, we're talking about the Gravity Falls series, Pokemon Eclipse. Is what can you tease about it? And like maybe what are you excited to look at? Maybe what are some of the processes that you're using to kind of prepare yourself? Because you like those spreadsheets, you like that big Google power. What are we looking at here to kind of see your process and what we can learn from this?
Sure. So the project is going on. I think I'm, as of right now, 4 episodes in, and it'll be a 50 episode, so it's going to go on for a really long time. So some of the fun stuff with this one in particular is that pulling in some of that puzzly stuff is that every episode, I release a puzzle on my Discord, and it's very much themed after the journal from Gravity Falls. So that's very fun, and that's will continue to get more difficult the deeper it gets in, because I like puzzly stuff. So that's fun. I'll have a new like battle gimmick. Because every region needs
cool.
a weird little battle gimmick.
Of
My
course.
Paleon battle gimmick was kind of, I don't know. It was fine. It was interesting. It was basically like you picked a move, and then you picked a move, and then the next turn or I forget how it works. Whatever. You're combining moves, kind of like Flying Press, like does like 2. You just can do that with any 2.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm excited about this next battle gimmick. It is something that is like in Pokemon Sun and Moon. It like shows up once and then is like never discussed ever again, and I'm just running with it. I won't say any more than that. Maybe you can figure it out. But yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, and then Ultra Beasts. I'm gonna do Ultra Beasts with this new region, which will be fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did not care for Ultra Beasts initially when Sun and Moon came out. I was like, what is this garbage? What are these stupid designs? But I've come to appreciate how weird they are.
Yeah. I think at first they're so jarring, and then I think once I wrap my mind around the fact that that's the whole point of them, right? Lore wise, they come from another dimension, but it's like you got to respect the fact that they intentionally went so far out of left field, like Blacephalon, like a cake pop, creepy clown thing, but it's Fire Ghost, and it has Mind Blown for this really unique thing that it can do, and then there's like the Kartanas and the Stack Attackers, and
Buzzwole always cracks me up too.
Dude, the two that crack me up the most are Buzzwole and Guzzlord. I don't know why those two are like just like, what is this? But now it's at the point where I'm like, okay, I would like to see more of these and see what else they can kind of pull out. So
yeah. Well, and the thing is that I guess like they're not technically classified as legendaries, but they do have like kind of that same allure as legendaries. And so I kind of like what you're mentioning here, like especially with Gravity Falls, it's a perfect concept for that type of region, especially if you're going like, I mean, you have some fun stuff going in here, like with Team Cypher, where for, those who don't understand the Cypher, Bill Cypher, very important character in the Gravity Falls series, and kind of making it that, kind of unique unleashing like aspect I can imagine, and it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see what else you can kind of build from like the concepts and the storyline of Gravity Falls, but then kind of merge that into the Ultra Beasts and their kind of particular lore as well.
Mhm.
I also kind of had a kind of a curious question. So what does it look like when you're kind of adapting? So you have all of Gravity Falls, the show itself, the 2 seasons. Like, what are you kind of looking at to make sure that you're wanting to highlight from that show into the game? As much as you can tell us. Just kind of curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So mainly I'm looking at Gravity Falls from like a narrative standpoint, just to kind of
Mm-hmm.
use it as a framework, a really rough framework for the character and the stories themselves. I did, of course, go through and go like, all right, which weird monster animal things do I just have to do a Pokemon of? I didn't want it to be too much like, here's just every character from Gravity Falls as a Pokemon. So
Mm-hmm.
the majority of the decks is just like cryptids from all over the world and folklore. It's leaning into that side of things, which again gives me a lot more flexibility. But yeah, finding those plot points and Pokemonifying them in ways that made sense. So our evil team is, Bill Cipher related. Who's our professor? Oh, the Grunkle Stan is our professor. Finding those parallels, smushing them together, changing the stuff that I want to change, and yeah. So it's mainly structural.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, so that's awesome. Kind of using it as a skeleton, because what's also kind of cool is, I mean, for those of us who so I'm a big fan of Gravity Falls. I watched it growing up, and my wife recently just got into it. She watched the entire series like last year, or it might have been earlier this year. I can't remember. Then my daughter got into it, so she watched the entire series. And she's like, she's a little younger, so she was like not watching it in order, so she's like has no idea what's going on, but she just loves the characters, she'd laugh at Mabel, whatever she said. And so, but like, it's just kind of funny, like revisiting that world from my end and kind of seeing you as a fan as well, and kind of knowing some of these plot points as a fan. Like, it can really, it puts off the conspiracy theorist in me as well. Like, I'm excited to see kind of some of these things that you're taking, and how you're using the skeletal structure, but also kind of nods towards the series as well. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be great. So
Thanks.
It's so cool. I was curious with all of these things that you've done over the years. Do you have a personal favorite design from your projects that you've made,
I mean, not really.
or one
I
that
don't
you're
know.
like, oh, that was kind of cool?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a bunch that are like, oh, these are kind of my favorites, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not a very exciting answer, but not really. I like my grass starter from the last thing. I like
Right. Very
my
cool.
legendaries, I guess. But I mean, it's more like there's definitely some stinkers that I would redo if I kind of had the time to go back. But
Right.
pretty happy. I try not to dwell too much, I guess.
For sure. And that's what's cool, because like with this kind of thing, it's obviously like you're like documenting essentially your journey with like your hobby, like you're improving day
Mhm.
by day. It's the same kind of thing where I got my guitars back here. I play music, and I can think I kind of kill it on something, but then a couple of years pass and I can listen back on something I played a couple of years ago, and I can be like, for the time that was pretty good, but I would like to redo it now, kind of thing. But
Yeah,
it's like for
exactly.
what it was, I'm proud of what it was, and it's a stepping stone to where I am today. And I'm sure you feel that kind of way with your with what you're doing as well. So that's cool.
I'm kind of curious. So what can you tell us kind of the process that you take from like beginning and end, just to kind of flesh out the art style of a Pokemon? Because like, I mean, I know for me as I'm not an artist or anything like that, but like I know like that I've tried to design in my head like cool ideas, but sometimes getting that finishing touch and making it more Pokemon like and not like Digimon or like
Sure.
kind of keeping it within that kind of franchise. Like, how does that look for you?
Well, so I'll usually start out with like a pretty rough idea of what the Pokemon is. And I mean, this is gonna sound dumb, but whatever. Like, you just look at other Pokemon, having just
Okay.
reference to work from. Like, oh, these are the general shapes I want to use if I want to design a Pokemon that, I don't know, feels like a regional bird or feels like a bug or a Pika clone, right? These are the types of things that are traditionally done. This is where you can deviate, that type of stuff. I always say that like in order to design a good Pokemon, you need, not always, but generally, an animal. You need
Right.
Okay.
and then you need a theme. You don't need the element. I think that the element comes from the theming. A lot of people
Okay.
just take animal element, smush it together. That's just where you get like, it's where you get Litleo. Litleo is just a
Mm-hmm.
fire lion. It's really boring, right? But like,
Right.
you know, you want your design to have kind of at least two interesting things about it lore wise. So yeah, animal, concept, smush them together, or multiple concepts, smush them together. And then yeah, looking at looking at reference images, it's really the best way, I think, to match the style
Okay.
if you're trying to.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's cool. That's cool. And does the Pokedex entry, does that like kind of come as you're kind of fleshing out the art, or do you feel like you get the Pokedex entry kind of like at the beginning and then start building out the art style?
Kind of at the same time, but usually like I don't write them until I'm done with the art.
Okay.
Just because the art process and the sketchiness, like you make artistic discoveries, you know, whatever. Like I'll think of things while I'm doing the art, and that'll inform what the Dex entry ends up saying. So
Right.
but,
Right.
yeah.
That's so cool. That's a lot of fun. That's super cool. I was curious. So you know, with this, I mean, so is there any other like, so I mean, I know right now you're really focused on Pokemon Eclipse, but is there like anything you have in mind, like ideas and inspiration for any future projects, or any inspiration that's just kind of calling you to you in general? Because I can imagine that sometimes Pokemon may not be like the most enticing thing to draw every single day. So what, you know, what other kind of things are inspiring you in your art?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's like kind of hard to do Pokemon like nonstop and only do Pokemon. It's pretty exhausting. So my last region, I was whatever. My life was a little bit more flexible. But like I
Mm-hmm.
did a video a week, which is just really stupid. I like just burnt myself out. So this time it's much more spread out so that I have time for other things that are not Pokemon, which is important. So yeah, I've
Yeah.
got some other projects that I'm gonna be working on. You know, I love like speculative biology is a thing. I might do a little project with that. Some, you know, fantastical but plausible creatures, you know, type of thing.
That's cool.
And I also like, you know, tabletop role playing. So I have some systems I might play with my friends and draw that type of stuff. So yeah, I'm giving
That's fun.
myself some time to enjoy other Pokemon or other non-Pokemon-y things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be good.
That's awesome.
I love it. We like tabletop systems as well. So me and
Yep.
Josh are in a group together, and we play. So totally understand
Nice.
that
Yep.
separation for the Pokemon sphere as well.
Good to switch it
I
up.
love it.
Diversify your hobby portfolio. That's what it's all about. So that's cool.
I also love the shout out to kind of like what you're learning as a creator, not just like as like necessarily like from the Pokemon side, but as a YouTube creator. Like because like spacing out the videos, we're learning this as well, being a newer channel. But like you mentioned at the beginning, like the mic that you mentioned earlier, you didn't have a great mic. We learned the other day that we really want to make sure we're connected up to the right mics, and that could happen just randomly disconnecting. And so it's I think that's also kind of the fun aspect of kind of the niche that we're all kind of in as well, like that Pokemon sphere niche, but also as YouTube creators, it's kind of a fun shout out as well to say, hey, we're all growing and we're all learning as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, that was
Sweet.
early on. I was like, you know, I'm gonna do this every week. I'm gonna release a video, and I had a lot of the work done beforehand, which helped. But later on, I finished that region, and I was like, I guess I'm gonna keep trying to keep up this weekly thing. And God, I fell into like, wow, I went from this. So this is in between the regions that I was working on. So I'm doing this kind of filler stuff. Just what if The Last of Us was Pokemon? What if DC was,
sweet.
you know? And it was interesting to start, and then I realized I was like, God, I went from working on an artistic project that I was passionate about, and now I'm just like churning out like content in like a kind of gross way that I was just like, as much as I do recommend, especially early on, you know, outputting a decent amount of content to kind of get traction,
Yeah.
It's not always sustainable, and I got to a point where I was like, for my own artistic well-being, like I have to stop putting out as much stuff all the time, and instead, just work on the stuff I actually cared about. So yeah, that was a big learning moment for me, like as a YouTube creator person.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think it's such a healthy way to look at it too, because I think we all kind of like, I mean, me and Josh had this conversation a little while ago. It's because we were trying to pump out a lot. We're both busy doing this part time. Not even part time. Maybe trying to get a couple hours free a week to do it. And it's just like it's such a healthy thing that I think as all creators on YouTube are trying to figure out is how to balance this passion with building a channel, trying to get something out of not necessarily for the monetary value, but just trying to show people our passion. And that, I think that's such an important thing to shout out as well, especially like in this Pokemon community too, where there's a lot of people here trying to make it work, but it's like, everybody, we can take slow down. We can don't bring yourself out over the passion of Pokemon.
Yeah, because
So,
it's
I love that.
It's, in case people don't know, like, it's real hard to make it work. If you are getting into like YouTube Pokemon stuff for like monetary gain, you best get out.
You'll burn out so
the money
fast.
is. Yeah.
You'll burn out fast.
Oh yeah.
It'll like you said, it's a whole different learning curve to like. It's like with the editing, with just uploading things. When should I upload? What should my content even like look like to make it appealing? And once you start trying to once you worry about that, and you're worrying less about the actual stuff that you cared about in the first place, it becomes a chore to upload videos, honestly. And when you're at that stage where it's a chore to upload what you should love, like we're making Pokemon interviews and doing Pokemon like live streams where we're playing the game. When it becomes a chore to do that, you're probably approaching it the wrong way. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure obviously we're newer, but for yourself, there's obviously going to be stretches where it is tougher. It's not going to be like a high all the time. Even if you have the right intentions, there might be a tough stretch where it's tough to get something out for a little bit, or it might be kind of a drag to pump out a video. But if you do it with the right intentions, it makes it a lot easier for sure in the long run. Because like you said, if you're in it for like, hey, I'm gonna get big and monetize or whatever, then like you said, probably not the best spot, probably not the best place to be in. So you might be wasting your time. So, but we also got some good advice. Oh yeah, sorry, you go.
No, I was gonna say, you're completely right. Like, you need to do it because you love it, and if you're doing it because you love it, like, odds are you're gonna put out content that is just way better, and people are gonna care about it. Because if you care about it, they're gonna care about it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was gonna say, because if you don't, then it's pretty obvious when you have disingenuous content and you're just trying to cater to people. I know for me personally, I'm sure for you guys, this isn't a hot take, but that turns me off whenever I see that, where someone is pretty clearly trying to bait for views or trying to make what they think people want to see. That's not what I want to see. And it's tough because you're trying to balance it. We've also had some really good conversations with other creators where they're like, but at the same time, if you ever want to do like make a channel or something, then it's not going to happen until you just do it. So if you want to do it, then go for it, but just make sure that you have the proper expectations, because I think it is a good mix. I think if anyone out there does want to do something like this, it's free. As long as you have the proper expectations and you do it because you love it, then I encourage everyone to go out and make a YouTube channel, but just make sure you understand, you're properly tempering your expectations. So
get a good mic.
And get a good mic. Yeah.
Get a good mic is really the only thing you need.
Yeah.
All the other software, everything else, there are free alternatives. Yeah, but get a good mic.
Exactly. Yeah. If I can hear you, if you're clear, then that's all I really. Yeah. That's good enough for me. So that's awesome.
Kind of speaking on that really quick, for any young aspiring Pokemon artists out there, or just artists in general, kind of speaking to the tool side of things, real quick before we kind of get into our rapid fire round, I was curious, what tools would you recommend kind of, newcomers or even people who are already in the industry that you like love to use for, making your art and making your videos?
Sure. There's a wide range of, some potentially very expensive things that you could get. If you have a decent phone, you could probably churn out some reasonably good digital art. Even if you don't have a phone, just the important thing is to just do art and like make yourself do the art so you can get better. You're not going to get better if you don't do it. Part of the reason that I don't know, that the Palean region Pokemon Amber like even happened is that like I forced myself to do that. You know, you just gotta churn out stuff so you can learn what works, what doesn't work. As far as tools that I would recommend, if you have, where is it? If you have like a drawing glove, if you're working digitally, like get a drawing glove. It saved my life. Whatever. It keeps you from like getting stuck to your screen. Eventually, I use my setup for my day job a lot as well, but like eventually, if you can like be drawing on an actual screen, so I have a big Wacom screen that I draw on. That's really nice, but you don't need it. When I first started out, I had like a whatever Intuos, Wacom Intuos, whatever. It's basically like a big trackpad that you're drawing on. You're looking at the screen, or your hands down here. Like you can still make amazing art, and those are like really affordable. So work with physical medium if you have to. Transition to digital as soon as you can, because well, I mean, this gets complicated as far as digital art goes, but no one cares about your physical medium. It's great to have those skills, and there are worlds where you can use them, but in general, no one cares about your physical medium. They only want digital art, and we're not going to open the worm of like how just doomed digital art is in general with AI and everything, but for now, get good. If you're planning to work on YouTube, do not use AI as a crutch, because they're supposed to be putting out some guidelines soon where you'll need to basically like do a check mark if you used AI tools in your video.
Oh, interesting.
Lose the art, which means people will see. And if you're in the art community like me and other people, and we see that your whatever art video that you uploaded is AR art, it's going to get destroyed by artists. So just a heads up, we're about to hit that on YouTube. Don't use AI as a crutch, because either you're going to lie about using it and then people will find out and they will destroy you, or you'll be honest about using it and they will not watch your stuff. So for the time being, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I've seen it destroy some people that so
interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know where we got there. Whatever. Yeah, get good at digital art, and that's
I love that. Good tips all around.
That's great. I love that. That's awesome. All right, now we can kind of get into our rapid fire round. So this is going to be we're going to get into rapid fire, then shower thoughts. So kind of wrapping up our talk here. And so rapid fire, we'll ask you a quick question. You kind of fire off the from your hip what the first thing that comes to your head. And so Josh is going to take it away.
And don't worry, this isn't like a quiz with like a correct answer. No, it's not like Gen 3. What can Skarmory learn at level 21 or something like that? Nothing like that. So don't worry. Okay. Most of this is just opinionated stuff. So first one we have for you: who's your favorite champion?
I don't know. Cynthia, probably.
Can't go wrong with Cynthia.
Awesome.
You can't go wrong.
I mean, that feels like, I don't know, low hanging fruit. I like Alder too, right? He's from Black and White.
Oh, nice.
I like Alder.
Good design. I like his design a lot.
Yeah. I like his team. Yeah.
Good choices.
He's cool. He's good. Well, and then I think he comes off as intimidating too, like from the get go. But then like seeing that N takes him down, like really shows that challenge of N too. Like I think it's like really good, like just kind of story arc wise, because they introduce him pretty early on. I feel like, don't they?
Yeah, he kind of weaves in and out a little.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of a cool like story arc aspect of it as well. The next rapid fire thought we have for you is going to be favorite regional form.
I'm gonna go Alolan Sandshrew.
Heck yeah,
that's a good one.
I love that one.
He looks so stupid. I like him.
I think this I love the Sandshrew Sandslash line in general. I just feel like I like the love that they got in Alola, and I think the design's really cool, like with the icicles, like sticking on the back, and then just like the cute little Sandshrew where I think it's got like the hood is like a little bit like lower
like a
down,
parka igloo thing. Yeah,
it's cute.
It's really cute.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
I love that.
for like silly, stupid designs. So
yeah, oh yeah, it's it's so funny because it's cool that it's ice steel type, but ice is already just a terrible defensive type. And funny enough, giving it steel, which is generally one of the best types, actually makes it more worse because now it's quad weak to fire, it's quad weak to fighting. Now it has the ground weakness. You know, it's like it didn't do too much for it, but it's still cool though. And ice steel has a anyways, I think it's a fun one. And I think another one I think a lot of people say is just Alolan Vulpix and Alolan Ninetales, where design wise there's like some minor aesthetic differences, but for the most part they just basically made Vulpix and Ninetales ice colored, like light blue. Yeah. But it's that's another one of my favorite ones. I think those two are up there for me for sure.
Actually, I lied. Hisuian Zoroark, yeah, that line is.
Oh yeah,
actually.
That's my favorite.
Excellent.
Just the
nice.
typing
That's an
and
choice.
this is look cool. Yeah, that's my favorite.
That's a good one.
Well, the shiny is so good too on there. Like
it's purple, right? It has the purple on it.
Right, like the purple hues and everything.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I think the reveal of it too, like they did that whole trailer like reveal for it, so like had this like really cool build up. I love that one too.
Yeah, actually, this is a tangent, but like playing the DLC for Scarlet and Violent, I got to do all these double battles. I got destroyed, but I tried to fight the whatever fairy type Elite Four. I got destroyed, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is how this works. Like it's hard." So I decided I'm going to build a team that I'm not going to change my team at all. I'm going to build one team that can get through all Elite Four and the champion. And I had never used them, so I brought in Hisuian Zoroark and a bunch of weird Pokemon that like kind of suck. Like they're not really good. Like I think the average base stat total was like 480 or something. Like pretty terrible Pokemon. Yeah, that was fun.
That's cool.
The first time to like actively like build a team for me. It was good. It was a good time. Good time.
That's cool. That's really fun.
That's awesome. We love that.
Now, next rapid fire question is kind of pivoting off of that. Who do you think needs a regional form, or who do you want to see get one?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a Pokemon that stinks.
pretty much.
Like it's just boring and needs some love. I don't know, like Doduo or something like that.
Okay, yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah. Or what are the dumb lightning Illumise and
Illumise and Volbeat.
Yeah, like those are good ones too. Some love. Yeah.
I'd love to see kind of along those. Just talking about Gen 1, another super underwhelming one is just Seal and Dugong. I think design wise, I mean, it's funny how people harp on some newer Pokemon designs where really every generation has weaker designs and strong designs. For every Gyarados and Nidoking, there's a Seal, and I know some people like Grimer, but Grimer's a pile of sludge, right? Or Trubbish, right? But like Seal, I would love to see something where make it a little more, I don't know, a little more memorable, right? I mean, even its name is literally just Seal, but with an E instead of an A for the second one. So, that's a good choice.
I think it'd be cool if Vanillix got like a smoothie or like a milkshake variant.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or like a lemonade. Like that'd be kind of cool. Like just because like I think that's one that also got a big harp on it was just an ice cream cone. But it's like you can make it like a smoothie or something too. Like like
just
that'd
really
be kind of fun. Like, really kind of cool. Make it that you can encounter it from the vending machines.
There you go.
That'd be fun.
Love it.
All right. The next one is going to be, what type combination do you want to see that we haven't seen yet? So there's not like a. And if you need any help, we can help you out with that too.
Yeah, I don't know if I can think of any at the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. So that was a design challenge with my like prehistoric region, as I like made sure to fill all the missing ones. But then after I did that, like some of them got filled officially, so I don't remember what all is next. I think is Ghost.
And if you don't,
I have a full list right here. If you want, I can read them off.
Is Ghost Rock still untaken?
I think it is.
Yep. There's only a small handful. So there's Ghost Rock, there's Bug Dragon, Ground Fairy, Fire Fairy, Ice Poison, and then normal Ice, normal Bug, normal Rock, normal Steel.
I think I want Ghost Rock really bad, mainly because like. I want like just a dinosaur skeleton that's like reanimated as a like that. Yeah. I just want that, right?
Yeah, that's a cool one.
That's a cool one. Ghost Rock. Yeah,
that's cool.
Excellent choice.
I think of
Excellent
all
choice.
those, I think ones that would likely be filled are, I feel like Fire Fairy is a pretty low hanging fruit one for them to make, and Bug
Mhm.
Dragon as well. I know in a lot of ROM
Mhm.
hacks, we just played we played Renegade Platinum, and just a difficulty hack of Gen 4, and Flygon's Bug Dragon in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Bug Buzz or whatever you turn on it, whatever you want to do. But I think that's another one that they could do. And then some of these other ones, I don't know how. Like, what's the point of like a normal steel type? I feel like that's kind of, I don't know why. But then again, I guess they made Litleo and Pyroar for some reason they're normal fire, right? So
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
know.
Just
Maybe
slap
they
the
could
normal
pull it
type
off.
on it. Yeah. What did I do? I had
I've
a
learned to never
normal
doubt them.
steel. I did a dodo bird normal type into a you know what a terror bird is? It's a big bipedal bird that can't fly. It's
Okay.
whatever. That was my
Uh-huh.
normal steel because
Oh,
it
okay, that's
evolved from
actually a good
Super
idea. I
Dodo.
like that.
Yeah.
I remember that one. That's a good one too.
Love it.
Then last one we have for you is 2D sprites or 3D models.
I mean, 3D models. I'm sure that's not the most popular answer, but yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love 2D sprite work. I think it can be done and be really interesting, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to play a 3D open world. I want to
There
see
you
the
go.
Pokemon moving around. Um, uh, I completely agree that there are some Pokemon that just don't work that well in 3D. Like I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Game Freak has gotten better over the years of
I
designing
do
Pokemon
too.
that specifically work in 3 dimensions. It is
Yeah.
just unfortunate that there are some that are just kind of boring in 3D. And
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it
I
has
like
gotten
that
more
take,
polished though. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I think Charizard and Scarlet and Violet had some, because like for the longest time he was just flapping his wings, and was just in the air, which I didn't necessarily hate too much, but I do think like there's been some slight updates that they've done like in Scarlet and Violet where I think the eyes are not just like the stickers on top of the body. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
Charizard got some more angular features and he's on the ground again with some like a good stature, like a good stance going on for him. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think the age of 3D models is really going to be able to kind of improve as time goes on because they're kind of hearing some of that feedback. I think.
Did you see
All
the
right.
big one they did was Blastoise. They added some
Yeah.
texture to his shell, and they actually made him shoot out of his cannons now.
Yeah.
That's
So if you use
awesome.
Hydro Pump, it comes out of the cannons now instead of out of his mouth or out of the center of gravity of whatever the poly model is. It looks good now. It's I think they've definitely heard it and they've come a long way with it. So whatever the next game is,
Well,
if it's on a new system, I think they'll look pretty good.
and in this most recent DLC, you have the where you can run around as the Pokemon as well.
That's
And if
cool. Yeah, I love
Blastoise
it.
is in the water, I don't know if you remember in like the Pokemon Snap games, he could like rocket off from the water, like from like his legs, like he'd bring his
Mhm.
legs in and like he'd like become a jetpack in the water. He does that in this game too. So like if you're swimming as Blastoise, he'll be the jet boat, and I just think
So
that's so
cool.
cool. Like that's excellent detail, Game Freak. Excellent.
Keep it up, please. Nice.
All right. Now we're going to get into our shower thoughts. So these are not necessarily about like your content or anything like that. They can be kind of whatever, random thoughts that come to our mind, throughout the day for, as we're all thinking about Pokemon, the Pokemon world. So the first one we have for you here is going to be agile style and strong style were really interesting kind of game mechanics that were added in Legends. We were kind of curious, if you were to make another style or another couple of styles, what do you think would be interesting to add into the games?
Oh man. God, I don't know. The Legends game is probably like my favorite Pokemon gaming experience.
I
There's a
love it.
bunch of
Yeah.
reasons.
Mhm.
Whatever. It's great. It's what I want out of Pokemon. I don't. I mean, I honestly want to just like. Is there a way that we can expand that even further so that it's more of
Mhm.
like real time RPG? Like, could we try that and see how that works? It's not necessarily turn based anymore. It's more, what is it? Active battle timer.
Yeah,
That's in like
Yeah.
some of.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, like could we try that where like speed is gonna affect that more? And then speed is no longer just like, I hope my number is one higher than your number, so I get to go first. It's like actively affecting the meter and how often you get,
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be just a horrible idea, but it'd be interesting to see it go that direction a little bit.
I agree with you because I actually found because I know the mechanics of like Legends Arceus is still try to be figured out because they were kind of wonky because they weren't as clear how certain things worked and function. But I found it incredibly interesting in a lot of ways. Like they made I feel like a lot of status effects feel a little bit more viable as well. Like
Yeah.
rest with making it drowsy. Like I used a drowsy or rest Umbreon, and that made it Umbreon incredibly viable because I didn't have to worry about it being all automatic sleep. It was that drowsy was something I could worry about, but like it still made like a full heal right away. And then like you mentioned, like some of the speed manipulation aspects were really interesting. So I actually think that'd be really fun, even if it was like someone like in the community made like a Pokemon Showdown version of Legends Arceus battle
That's
mechanics.
cool.
I think that'd be really interesting.
I like that. Yeah, I'm excited to see what other if they make another Legends game, if they lean into that or do something new entirely. But I would like to see the Legends battle mechanic kind of just be its own thing and stay in its realm of games. I hope they continue to make games like that. I think it was positively enough received that I would hope that we get some sort of announcement in the next year or two for another game like that. So
yeah, 100% agreed.
Cool. Next one we got for you. We have a couple more before we wrap up here. Let's say you are in college in the Pokemon universe, and you need to write a paper on a specific Pokemon line. Whether it's like the Ralts line or if it's like the Picky Peck line, whatever it is. What Pokemon line are you choosing? Or if it's a legendary or a mythical, anything that you would think would be worthy of a research paper.
I mean, like Ditto, probably.
Okay,
Yeah. Like I find, maybe like specifically, like I don't know, how does Ditto? I don't know. There's a huge question of like how actually biological Pokemon breeding is, and how much of it's weird magic, and how does Ditto work into that. So probably that.
Something with that.
Yeah, something with that.
Do you buy into the theory
that.
of Ditto being a failed Mew clone?
Yeah, I guess.
I saw.
We haven't gotten anything that like disproves that, right? It didn't show up in. Yeah,
I think it's a lot of people just inferring off of like obviously Ditto's ability to transform, but also it having like all equal base stats, and Mew has all equal base stats as well, and that can learn any TM kind of thing. I saw
their shinies are the same as well, which is interesting. So the regular base form and shinies are the same. You can only find them in the burned mansion on Cinnabar, which is where the supposed cloning process was happening.
The labs
for
right there.
And
yeah, I saw like a super kind of clickbaity Instagram reel about it. And I was like, nah, someone just saying that for like for interactions. They're mining, clicks and views and stuff like that. And then I looked it up, and sure enough, there's like a full blown Reddit thread on it. And I was like, oh, there's a little bit of merit to that. I think it's interesting, fun to think about. So cool.
Well, I think what you're saying too, like looking into that more, because Ditto is like such an enigma in the whole series.
Yeah,
like it's got 2 signature items for itself, right? Like, and it can kind of become like it can literally become any Pokemon. So it's like how it like I mean like unless like you're probably ever seeing a Ditto sleeping in its natural state, like how did we even discover Ditto? Like, I think that would be incredibly interesting to look into.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right. For the next and last, shower thought we have for you today is what single stage Pokemon should get an evolution?
Oh God, who's left? I mean, recently I would have said like Dunsparce, but Dunsparce got some love.
You're right.
And if there's a double stage Mon too that you like, hey, maybe this should get a third evolution. That's all good too.
Yeah. maybe what's his name? Drudigan?
Oh yeah,
Drudigan?
yeah.
Okay.
Drudigan could
That's a
use
good
some
one.
love. People don't like
I love that.
Drudigan.
It-
It could you even if it was a pre-evolution, that would be okay. And nah, it probably needs an evolution. It probably needs evolution.
Yeah, make it. That's cool though, because it really. I mean, it's pure dragon, and it
Yeah.
literally just straight up looks like a dragon. Like it's a dragon. You know, it's like that
Mhm.
Pokemon's a dragon. So yeah, giving it like maybe another evolution with I don't know. They all get secondary typings, so give them something random and cool. But when I always
Give him
think
the
of
Archulodon treatment.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
Gosh.
the suspension bridge treatment. You mean?
Yeah.
It's funny because everyone, obviously, people making fun of the design, but it's actually, I think it's actually a pretty fun Pokemon to use in and of itself. But yeah, it is kind of a funny, funny design.
Mhm.
But I was gonna say the one I've thought of a lot that I want to see is Seviper and Zangoose from
Oh
Hoenn.
yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love to. I think they're
Yeah.
really cool Pokemon, and to a certain degree, they're somewhat viable. But I love the designs. I love the lore behind them, having that kind of like natural rivalry, that natural feud, and I don't know, seeing them. Even if they got like a pre-evolution, I could see that. But I think I think those are two that I would love to see get both a pre-evolution and an evolution. So
Yeah, I love.
Um,
I agree.
I was on the fence about Zangoose, but Zangoose was one of the like mediocre Pokemon that I put on my team to like deal with all the stuff in the DLC. So now I really like
Yeah.
Zangoose. So yeah, I agree.
I love it. I love it.
I
Logan, do you
love
have
that.
any?
And I think I was just gonna say I agree with both of those. Drudigon I used in Josh and I are in a draft league for Pokemon, so you draft it like fantasy football, and I used Drudigon one season. I really liked it. It's just like like I feel like it doesn't get enough love. It's just a really cool design. I think it could go into some really cool ideas. And then Zangoose and Viper, great picks. I would say kind of an underrated mon on my end is maybe like Aerodactyl, maybe getting like an evolution or something. Or I'm trying to think. I feel like the Anorith. This is kind of a double stage, but Anorith, Armaldo line. I feel like there could be like some cool, like third stage there too. Like just because I love that line and I think it looks super cool.
Yeah.
You
Or
don't need a better
Tropius.
reason
I
than
think
that.
Tropius
yeah.
could get some love too. I
Oh
think.
yeah.
Banana
yeah, never
Dinosaur
mind.
could get.
Throw what I said. Actually, Tropius is like a much better answer. Tropius needs love more than anything else.
I love it.
Yeah.
I would love like if the evolution had like a full beard of bananas. Like that'd be.
That's actually so
That'd
good,
be
dude.
awesome.
I'm sure you can
I
find.
love
I'm sure
it.
you can Google some like. I'm sure there's some really good fan art for some like a Megatropius or just an evolution line.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
pulling one up right now. Just this guy. It looks like he's wearing a crown of bananas, and it actually looks so cool. I'm so
That's
impressed with
awesome.
it. But anyway, yeah, that's cool. I love it.
Well, because Tropius always felt like bigger mon than it really was. Like you found it in that game, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, what is this Pokemon?" And like it wasn't a legendary or anything like that. But I just loved kind of the design and being, grass flying was really unique at the time. Well, I guess it wasn't as unique because you had jump bluff and stuff like that. But it was cool because it was a dinosaur. It did not scream grass flying. Like so that was kind of fun too.
Yeah.
So I like all those options. I think these are good. These are good things for Game Freak to consider. I'm just kidding. All right, but Gabe, thanks so much for joining us today. We are so grateful that you were able to kind of give us some of your time. Before we wrap up, we were just wondering, we're gonna plug everything, all your stuff, in our comments and in the video notes and things like that. We were just kind of want to kind of give you some time before we end the episode to be able to tease anything you'd like to, and also before you wrap up, give the people some words of wisdom, if that be Pokemon words of wisdom or just life word of wisdom, whatever that may be.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll be continuing my Gravity Falls and Cryptid inspired region. That's gonna be a thing for like, I don't know, another year and a half probably. Just
Right.
slowly coming
Awesome.
out episode by episode. Very fun. Check it out if you like Pokemon or if you like puzzles. There'll be puzzles in it.
I love it.
Outside of that, I don't know. I'll probably be starting some other projects that'll be fun. I don't know. As far as like advice, if you're an artist, like make sure you're making art. Like make art all the time. Never stop. That's the only way you get better. Make art. It's probably like a cliche at this point, but like don't be afraid to look stupid. like try new things, even if you're bad. You got to be bad before you can be good. Just do stuff. You just got to like get out there, learn new things, be unafraid to look like an idiot, because eventually you'll like fake it until you are kind of okay at stuff, and that's kind of all you
I
can
love
hope
it.
for.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
do
it. So
stuff.
good,
Do
dude.
stuff.
So good.
That's great.
Oh, actually, one more thing I want to plug. I almost forgot. So
Yeah.
You're good.
because I think some of your normal watchers, listeners, will get a kick out of this. As like an artsy fartsy type who doesn't do a whole lot of battling and whatnot, I'll be putting together a video that I've been working on for like almost a year at this point, which is rebalancing the type chart in a pretty drastic way. So if y'all want to like come like just destroy some art idiot's attempt at that, that'll be coming out, and it'll probably be like another couple months before it comes out. But I've been like working so hard on this thing, and I know people are just gonna
that's awesome
hate it. They're gonna hate it so bad because it's just way too drastic, but I'm excited for it nonetheless. So eventually find that and come hate on it. It'll be a good time.
I love it.
I love that.
That's such a good teaser.
I love it. That's gonna be so good. I'm excited. So I'll put it on my calendar.
Okay.
And so, but thanks again, man. We're really, really glad that you were able to join us. And everybody out there, make sure you're following Gabe Froopy Art on YouTube to keep up with Pokemon Eclipse and his previous projects and this new exciting video that's coming out. Make sure to like, follow our videos on. Follow us here on YouTube as well. We're gonna keep up, talking to some awesome people. And for now, this is Logan, Josh, and Gabe signing off with Skill Link. We'll see you guys.
See you, everyone.